This is Shelley Kraft coming to you live on SNNLive. We're at the Sprott Natural Resource Symposium 2016 in Vancouver. I have with me Patrick Donnelly of First Mining Finance Corp. It's a publicly traded company. I'm going to give you two symbols, FF on the TSX Venture and FFMGF in the U.S. Patrick, welcome back to SNNLive.
Thanks for having me on again, Shelley.
It's good to have you. Let's start out with an overview of First Mining, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. First Mining is a relatively new company. We got listed in April of 2015, and it's a different business model with regards to the resource space. Our business model is to go out and acquire high-quality assets. Specifically, we've been acquiring high-quality assets within companies that are very, very distressed, and banking them until the markets improve. And since we currently have over 10 million ounces of gold, and we're not going to put into production. But what we are going to do is eventually, when we get further along in this market, we'll sell these assets, but hold on to residual interest and eventually generate revenues for our shareholders.
Well, with a market like we've had, in a market like it's been, hasn't that really catered to your business model?
Absolutely, and the business model is predicated. Let me back up. Our founder Keith Neumeyer, who's also founded First Majestic Silver, Keith was convinced that prior to maybe January of this year, we were in one of the worst bear markets with respect to mining, and he was convinced that it's simply a matter of when, not if. We would see a rebound in this market. And that's how he's founded First Majestic. He found that in a very bad bear market, bought high-quality assets, and with the view that this market would turn around. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. We knew it would turn around. It could have been another year or two. It could have been another 6 months, but we knew we're definitely at the bottom. And what we're seeing now is, I think, the beginning of a new market, and it's fitting in nicely with our overall business plan.
Well, he couldn't have picked better timing.
Oh, absolutely, and it's all about timing, and specifically, everybody knows, everyone I talked to, last year, they knew we were at the bottom, but nobody wanted to get back in, and you really got to have some guts, and you got to have some conviction, and you got to have some courage to come in at the bottom, and there are people asking us, are you willing to wait another 5 years? Absolutely. Because there's incredible valuations out there. We're seeing valuations that hadn't been that low in 20 or 30 years. So, we went out there. We were very, very aggressive. We knew this window wouldn't be open forever. We acquired eight companies, or 8 assets and companies in 1 year. We went from 0 ounces in the ground to almost 13, 14 million ounces in the ground, because we were convinced that this market was going to turn.
So what's happened of most notoriety since the last time I've interviewed you?
Well, there's been a lot of things. With respect to the company, we've just been going hard because we've been worried about this window closing for opportunities. So, we saw the window starting to close earlier this spring, and so we closed 2 more deals in June. And then all of a sudden Brexit came along, and we knew gold was going to turn. We knew, the clouds are starting to turn dark. The markets are starting to get a little more volatile. We were seeing fear, and we knew that was going to happen. So, we started moving even quicker. We closed these 2 deals, we got our resources up, and now, a year ago we were 30 million market cap with 0 ounces of gold. Now we're a $500 million market cap with over 10 million ounces of gold. And we're going to continue. There's still opportunities out there, albeit they're getting harder, but we're going to continue to add value and build this company.
You led me right into my next question.
Sure, absolutely.
We're almost finished with 2016.
Sure.
We're going into 2017. What's a milestone or two?
Sure.
For FF, and what are they, and how do you get there?
Well, we're just completing a financing. We were raising $26 million, and we currently have $10 million in the bank. So, when all is said and done, we'll be getting close to $40 million in cash. And I think part of what we need to do right now is to add value to these assets. And our flagship asset, Springpole, which has over 5 million ounces of gold, we're working on a new economic study on that. We may do an economic study on Hope Brook. Some of our other assets, we're going to do resource estimates. We're also working on buying back some of the royalties in these assets, cleaning them up, doing a little bit of low-cost exploration work. working with First Nations and other stakeholders, working with them, getting them on board. We're also, a lot of value added that maybe the market doesn't find sexy, but certainly adds value to these assets. Working on a database for all our assets, making sure it's all properly done. We're also starting to get interest now from the major mining companies. That is starting to come back, and the end game is, eventually we would enter into agreements with third parties where they would, take these assets, they move them forward, and we'd hold on to residual interest, a royalty, a stream, a joint venture, or some combination. And they are starting to come back. They're the majors now, now that they're making money again, their shareholders are asking them, you need to generate, you need some growth, you need some catalysts. So now they're hunting high and low for assets. We've got the assets. And maybe not imminently, but within the next year or two, you could start seeing us doing some deals.
Well, it sounds to me like you're buying right. Now, they're going to become more and more scarce, those buying right assets.
Sure.
How do you continue to build your assets at good, affordable prices moving forward as the resource increases and the commodity goes higher?
Well, all we've been fixated on, until recently has been gold. And the price of gold's gone up. It's well over $1,300. But, copper, zinc, other commodities are still languishing badly. And so, if we see a copper asset out there that's highly undervalued, we'll pull the trigger. Copper asset valuations are incredibly low still, and copper juniors are in crisis mode right now. So if there's a copper asset or a zinc asset, those are opportunities to look at. It's an interesting thing. This market has moved so fast. There are numerous private companies that have gold assets. It takes months and months and months and months for these companies to raise money, do an IPO, get the listing, that sort of thing. For example, the Tamaka deal we did, they were a private company. They could have gone public. They had money thrown at them. They decided they didn't want to wait. They wanted to, they wanted to get into this market quickly. They wanted to create value for the shareholders. So what do? They got into bed with us. So I'm talking to a few private companies that have gold assets. They don't want to wait 6 months or a year to get out the door because maybe that opportunity is closed, and then get in bed with us. We're liquid. We've been growing. We got a great management team. We got Keith Newmeyer leading this thing, and so you want to join the right team. And some of these private companies have asked to join us, and we're looking at that as well. So there's plenty of opportunities out there. Is it getting tougher to do a deal? Absolutely. But like I said, some of these base metal assets could be out there, and like I said, some of these private gold deals could be out there. So there's certainly opportunities out there.
Let's get your website out there for more information.
It's www.firstminingfinance.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, Patrick Donnelly, First Mining Finance Corp, publicly traded company. I'm going to give you two symbols, FF on the TSX Venture, FFMGF in the U.S. I'm Shelley Kraft. This is SNNLive, and we're coming to you live from the Sprott Natural Resource Symposium 2016 right here in lovely downtown Vancouver. Thanks, Patrick.
Thanks a lot, Shelley.
Good seeing you again.
You too.